Hello guys, so today we'll talk about the line of things that were really popular back in the day, but now they are just trash. So that line is actually Russian heavy line, the IS tanks heavy line. So why are they today so unpopular, and I'd even say hated by most of the players? Because in today mode of the game is so, how to say that, today's play style of the game is mostly fast paced and based on medium tanks and light tanks. Maybe even some tank destroyers, but those tank destroyers are pretty fast, like E25 and things like that. But mostly they are based on light tanks and medium tanks. So I would not say that other heavy tanks are having a good time in the game, but most of all the Russian heavy tanks are pretty much forgotten in the game. So I rarely see another IS-6 or IS-5 in the game. I see them, but they are mostly bought by players who want cheap vehicles. Who don't want to pay crates or anything like that. So mostly they are forgotten. They are very forgotten. So what is the reason? The reason is that back in the day you could actually stand alone, versus like 5 vehicles driving an IS-6 or I don't know, IS-3, because they were so good. I mean, they're on still level today. They're on the same level as they were before. But the change is that actually today we've got some really overpowered premium tanks like WZ and Scorpion G. So they became pretty much obsolete. So I will give you actually the example in the real life. So would you if you went in a war, so would you drive like M1 Abrams or Armata or any main battle tank from today's battlefields, or would you rather drive Tiger 1? I believe you would rather drive M1 Abrams, because Tiger 1 obviously cannot destroy Abrams, and Abrams will destroy it in one shot. So that is, I think, the perfect example how the game works today. So you wouldn't like to drive slow heavy armored vehicle, but still with big weak spots. So IS tanks are today in the game pretty much well armored, but they still have weaknesses. They are slow, except the IS-8 and IS-7. They're not so sluggish. They're actually pretty fast, but most of the IS tanks are pretty slow, pretty underpowered. Not underrated. Yes, they are underrated, but they're clearly more underpowered than underrated. So back in the day, you could actually, as I said, stand against 5 vehicles with IS-6 tank or any other IS tank. So it wasn't pretty easy to destroy them. Why? Because today when you enter the match, you will like have 5 mediums or light tanks on your team, and maybe 1 or 2 heavies, or 1 heavy and 1 tank destroyer. So that is the mostly what the gameplay of the game is consisted of. So actually when you I won't have any replays for you today, because I tried to play them, and they're so horrible, so I won't even try anymore, because I like them, but I like them mostly in realistic battles, because their armor is just trollish. You will have like bounces that shouldn't be there, but most of the time it will go through, so it is not worth of my win rate or my time, just that's it. If someone has any good replays with ice tanks, please send them to me. I mean, I'm still good in ice 7, but in ice 5 and ice 6 I'm not pretty good, because they're specific for this line, so they are premiums, but they actually don't have that armor penetration like ice 7 or ice 3 or ice 8. Those three vehicles actually have pretty good penetration, so because they ice 6 and ice 5 actually use the upgraded gun from the ice 1 and ice 2, but the ice 3 and other tanks, they actually use different guns, so they are not upgraded versions of guns, so you actually boost penetration by 1 or 2 millimeters, but they actually use the whole different system. So when you look at these tanks, they actually have pretty nice armor for, I mean, it's not really, like on the hull it's 100 front and sides, and rear is 60, and turret is 150, sides are 150, and rear is 100. But what is actually important is that IS-6 has really nice sloped armor, so if you actually phase the vehicles that don't have enough penetration, they will actually bounce as normal as they do, but if they have like 100 millimeters of penetration, they won't be able to go through you unless they actually hit this one area, because it's pretty much very, very weaker, so if you like go against tier 7 tanks, they won't go through, but if you go against tier 8 and tier 9s, don't show yourself on the front line, because you will just get busted, and you will just die instantly, because they are obsolete for today version of the game. So I wouldn't actually recommend you to buy one of these today, but if you are the player that likes challenge like me, you will actually try it, because they actually are pretty challenging today to play with, So then we have Ice 5, it is right here. So it is the whole different type of a tank. So it is the most similar to Ice 8, so but it's a tier lower. So back in the day you could actually do pretty nice with it, but now now it just also obsolete, but you can actually do one nice thing with it if you choose to play with it. So that one thing is actually to go in a like half hull down mode. So what does this mean? So if you get like on the top of the hill, and that hill is actually not really steep, like that only T-26 or I don't know, American tanks can actually shoot from it like in a hull down position. But if you actually do that, if it's like, I don't know, not very steep but actually a little bit steep, so you can actually be almost invincible, because these lower glacis here, so it's actually pretty much hidden, and the only spot they can actually hit you is this tiny piece of metal under the gun, you know, because it's actually not that thick. So that is one big advantage with this thing. So another advantage is that actually they both have a really trollish armor, you know, because they have side skirts and you cannot actually go with heat against these things, you know. So that's it for i6 and i5. So let's go. I don't have those in a garage. I have actually i7, but i8 and i3 I do not have. So let's first go with i7. So what do you need to know about it? So it's not premium vehicle, it's a researchable vehicle, so that's cool. So it's actually another example of Russian pike-nosed heavies. So it has a pretty nice gun. I don't know about penetration. Let's see. The penetration is 273, and with armor piercing composite rigid or APCR it's 318. And actually it's high explosive. It's not really bad because it's almost in a range in 152mm guns, so it's 75. That's not pretty bad. So you know, you can actually go through anything that's like that is like, I don't know, light tanks or even German light tank destroyers, you know. So that's pretty nice. Then its armor is actually pretty nice. So you can see this in upper area of the tank. So this above the track, so it's actually the spaced armor. So you can actually see that you may think that it's a conventional, let's say it like this, conventional hull of the thing, but actually it's not. So when you take off the tracks and everything, you can actually see that only this with the tracks is actually, let's say it like this, flat, you know. But when you actually take this off, you could actually see that it's like in a shape of the ship hull. So it's actually pretty angled and it's actually pretty crowded inside, you know. So that's pretty awesome because most of the shells won't get through on the sides if they are like just armor piercing, you know. They will just bounce and people will be like WTF, you know. So what the hell just happened? It says that it's not red, but it bounced, you know. So it's not just another example of Russian trollish armor, but it's an example that actually doesn't have any algorithms, you know, inside. Unlike the, I think, WZ or things like that, I highly think that there are some algorithms because they don't have that shape, you know. Another advantage of this tank is actually that heat shells will not be able to go through this. So, but you actually have to pay attention, because if you can see this little thingy here between the turret and the hull, if they hit you here under the turret, they actually can get you to actually pretty nice high explosive damage, you know. But it's not like on German tanks that it's actually high, but it can get through, you know. So in this vehicle I actually did very good back in the day, but now not now, because there are tanks like T-22 medium, and those tanks are actually pretty cancerous for this tank, because it's fast. It has like 40 kilometers per hour average speed, I think. So it is actually pretty good, but the turret is just like, you know, for the heavies. It doesn't turn around so fast, so you will have to be very careful when Leopard or Object 140 or such tanks come into close distance with you, you know. So you have to actually keep in mind that you must not let them close, because you will probably die. Because when you actually are in the fight with one of these on the close range, you actually have tunnel vision, you know. So tunnel vision is actually pretty bad for players in this game, because you only see that tank and do not see other tanks that are closing in, you know. So pretty much if you have the case of a tunnel vision in that scenario, you're probably dead. So don't do it, because you will just get wasted in the game, you know, and everyone will just freak out on you, because they will actually think that you are a bad player and probably are not, but okay. Then we have Ice 8 that I actually don't have in a garage, and I won't show you the stats. I will just sorry, Corona got me. Just kidding. I will actually just tell you that it's pretty good, because it's even, in my opinion, maybe better than IS-7, because it actually has even more trollish armor, you know. So you will bounce a lot of things. So then we have IS-3, that is actually the perfect heavy tank in a tier 8, you know. So it's not an American heavy tank that actually has the open butt, you know, so they cannot actually HE in most cases. Then you can actually be pretty useful in the city as any ice tank, you know. So that is pretty good. But do not, in any ice tank, do not go in the field, so because you will just get wasted. The only tank, heavy tank in a Russian line that is allowed to do that is the KV-1, because it was actually designed in the game for that, you know, just to bounce everything, anything and everything, you know. So do not do that in ice tank line. So that would be all, except a little bit more on IS-3. So I will actually cover him in this, because it is one of my favorite tanks. So its turret is the strength of 150 millimeters in front, 90 on the sides, and rear is 80. So it's pretty good. Hull is actually a little better than the IS-6, but actually that is pretty important, because if you know the difference between the Tiger 2 and the E75 before the Tiger 2 got buffed, actually that 10 millimeters and the slope change mean actually a lot. So 10 degrees of a change and 10 millimeters in difference are a big deal. So that means that most of the things that they throw at you won't get through. So it's a lot better than IS-6, you know. I actually enjoyed playing it more than IS-6. So damage per minute is 1650 and reload time is almost 15 seconds, but it's like 1455, so that's not really good. But you can actually lower it by consumables, provisions, and equipment and things as such, you know. So penetration is actually pretty nice, 175 for tier 8. It's not bad, you know. It's actually pretty good. And 217 for armor piercing composite rigid. It's actually pretty nice as well. So, and damage is as expected for Russian tanks or Russian heavy tanks, 400, you know. So that's pretty nice. And top speed forward is 38, so that's also not very bad, you know. So that would be all for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and watch yourself from Corona, and that's everything I actually have to say right now, you know. So till the next time, goodbye, guys.